Here we go then, first fight of the night. Former world champion Barry Jones alongside me, Alex Steedman. Tonight we're also joined by Andy Clark to give us the benefit of his analysis and experience.
Round one.
We've sat ringside both together and separately so many times that as boxing fans, you watching at home will have come to appreciate, love, respect and enjoy the Sean Jacksons of this world. I think it's fair to say he comes in tonight just a week or so since he was at the famous old Ulster Hall in Belfast, a place where Barry and I have been a few times. He did a job that night, came up on the wrong side of it. That's kind of what's expected here once again. It's a case of providing a test and some rounds for Thomas Essomba on his route back, Barry, potentially to the top.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be a test for Essomba because, you know, he's boxing at the European level regularly here, Thomas Essomba. So it'd be interesting for Jackson, actually, because he's used to boxing people who are on their way up, you know, a couple of fights in, and he's a real good test for those, for durability and how to use their ring crap. If someone like Essomba, he knows how to cut the ring off. You see it here already. He knows the right punches to go. He knows the right place to box at. So it's going to be a difficult task here for Jackson, more than usual.
And we know how strong Essomba is. We know how classy he is as well, Andy. Less than 6 months, as I was saying, at the top, since he was a European champion. And I must admit, that first round against Charlie Edwards, I thought Edwards was going to be in for a long, hard night. Great testament to him that he managed to navigate those deep, choppy waters early on to find an answer to Essomba.
He's just a good fighter, Essomba, and he has been for a really long time. It's a fascinating story, him and Serjan Bomo, Blaise Mendu, Abdon Caesar, Christian Donfak, all of them sought asylum in the UK after the London 2012 Olympics and started new lives. And in boxing you get that, don't they? But you uproot somebody from what they know, take them to a completely alien environment, and they find the gym and they make a name for themselves, and he's absolutely done that. It's been really interesting just watch all of them tread that path, and nobody's done it better than him. He's been the most successful out of the lot of them by a distance, actually. And
of course we got one later on as well, Michael Ramabaletsa, who came from South Africa, rerouted to the UK, managed to win himself an English title and also a Southern Area title, actually in two different weights. Seems a long time ago, but he's going to be trying to pose the questions against Tom Welland, the unbeaten local prospect who's returning home. That's our top of the bill a bit later on.
I think the reason why they can make that transition to another country is because a boxing gym's a boxing gym. You can put it anywhere in the world. Some are cleaner than others, have more technology than others, but ultimately that ring and the bags and all the stuff it's the same anywhere around the world. So you can feel at home instantly, and that's why boxing is such a community in itself.
And for anyone who's ever been in there, whether it's just to keep fit, hit the heavy bag, there is a sense of belonging and community as soon as you step in there. And certainly Essomba has found that on these shores. The big question really is, as we see the rest in between the first couple of rounds, the big question is, can he be moved, Andy, quickly back enough, given that maybe the landscape of that division is going to change a little bit, whether it's British level. Charlie Edwards is going to go in against Andrew Kane, I think in about a month's time in Liverpool. That's a tasty looking fight, so maybe Essomba will get another crack at the European. Boxing, snakes and ladders, you never quite know.
You don't, and I think at the lower weights you're only ever really one win away, or if you keep yourself in decent shape, which he always does, one telephone call away from a big fight, because the depth isn't there as it is in other weight divisions. He's 37 now, so he hasn't got that much longer left, you wouldn't imagine, but he's definitely lived a life. He started out as a light flyweight as an amateur, so he hasn't actually come up that far in the time he's been boxing. But what a career when you consider the titles he's fought for and the titles that he's won. It's been quite amazing, really, so you wouldn't rule anything out.
He's trying to dig a few body shots in there at the start of this second round. Essomba maybe just tire out the legs, maybe restrict some of the movement of Jackson, which he's trying to put to good use early on.
Yeah, but this is how Jackson fights, though, isn't it? You know, always on the move. Always, you know, once you get them on the ropes, he'll do that. He'll dip, hold, and spin. You know, get himself back in the centre ring and then move again. So he always keeps you guessing all the time. It's just Essomba's a different level to what he's used to boxing at. As I said, in the last round, so he can cut the ring off better, will be able to manage the round better, and also pace the fight better than most of the other fighters that Jackson has boxed against. So you see here with Essomba not rushing his work. There's gears to go through, but he doesn't need to do it quite yet. It's only a 4-rounder, I think, isn't it? So he's not going to try and get him out there. He's looking for the rounds, just looking to get back in the ring, a couple of rounds before he gets hopefully a bigger fight.
A couple of wicked little body shots from Essomba. He's trying to close the gap, trying maybe just to get Jackson on some kind of leash, but in this 4-round sprint, not necessarily an easy thing for him to do. And Jackson hoping to fudge and nudge and nurdle his way through it without getting hurt, without getting pinned down.
I wouldn't be amazed actually if one of the conditions of Jackson taking this was that it was 4, not 6, because finding an opponent for somebody like Essomba, as discussed, is not going to be an easy thing to do, because he's at that level where you know this is going to be hard. So, as I say, I wouldn't be amazed if they had a chat, him and Joe Pennington, away to our right-hand side, very experienced guy from North Side up in Manchester, terrific club, and just decided we can do this, but 4, not 6. But that would make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, it gives him more, because Essomba's not this crash bang bottom sort of fighter. He's a pressure fighter, but a good boxer, but he can break you down, but he needs, as you said, Andy, he needs those rounds to do that. I think it's good from both here. I think Jackson is having to move a lot and think more than he's used to doing, and Essomba, again, controlling everything. I just think with someone like Jackson, who's got to try and anticipate what you're doing to be at his best, lots of feints for Essomba. That's what he needs, a little bit more, a few more feints, a few more disguising before he mounts an attack.
And again, he just whipped in that left hook, almost like an uppercut to the midsection. There's been a couple of those wicked shots from Essomba. And in a sport where jeopardy is almost always in play, that is at the very heart of boxing, it is slightly rare when you have a situation like this where there is less jeopardy at play. Jackson isn't expected to win, and it's unlikely that's going to happen, but he's in there to help Essomba on his route back, but also to give him some experience and some rounds, and that's exactly what we're going through as we're about to broach halfway in this one. The absolute lifeblood of the sport. Characters like Sean Jackson going up and down the length and breadth of the country, crossed the Irish Sea the other week, as I said, and you know, those 31 defeats, he's only been stopped on one occasion. That was last year by Ed Harty, and he's a really talented amateur, European junior champion. I think only Adam Azim beat him for an English title once upon a time as well, so it gives you an idea of the kind of opponent it took to get Jackson out of there. No one else has managed to do it in his years in the boxing ring so far.
This is where boxing is quite unique in itself, because you know, in reality, if you're talking about Essomba boxing at European level again, which he most certainly can, I think should, then this is a waste of time for him. This is not. He doesn't need the learning fight. Doesn't need the practice. He doesn't need to really practice what he's doing in the gym and get in the ring like prospects do on the way up. But you need the ring rust is a real thing. Some people say it's not. It's a real thing. It is. Just getting used to the build up for the fight, the training for that, the tapering down with the weight, all those things. You think you've done it forever and it's easy, but you need to get your body back into that mode. And certainly, just boxing under the lights. And even though there's only one winner, you sort of need to have it if you are geared up for a bigger fight.
It's an essential part of the process, isn't it, Andy? And although this isn't going to do anything for Essomba's kind of ratings or rankings, if you like, in the greater scheme of things, it kind of shows the people who are in the business of that he's kind of back in the game.
It does, and I think as you get older, staying active to a reasonable level, you don't want to go crazy, is definitely important as well. We've seen that in recent times right at the top of the sport, that if you box with some regularity, then it's a better thing, because you just stay in that groove mentally and physically. And I think that's the point really of taking this fight. Just get one done early in the year off the back of that fight against Charlie Edwards, and then the next one will need to be a meaningful fight. You don't need to be taking 8-9 months out of the ring when you're 37.
Yeah, doesn't have the time, does he? As we move into the final minute then of this one, you can see Jackson kind of generally fighting off the back foot, trying to scamper around, light-footed, knows what he's doing, trying to avoid contact.
And also, sorry Alex, also sometimes you need to have a fight or a win. Some people, if you can get a win, any win, then we can put you in for some sort of title fight because of your past record already. But you have to get, some people don't, and organisations don't like people fighting for another title straight off the back of a loss.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point I was trying to make to Andy. That's exactly that. He's kind of back in the game in terms of the rankings and the ratings, although this doesn't necessarily reflect in that particular way. Difficult for him to pin Jackson down tonight.
But he's coasting here, isn't he, himself, Essomba, not really putting that much pressure on Jackson. He's walking him down a little bit, but also following him around a little bit too much, and I think he's not really looking to get the stoppage. He's just looking to go through the motions and get out of this fight unscathed.
There's that uppercut come hook to the body again. He's whipped that in a few times. Essomba tried to go with a heavy left lead as well, and again Jackson was able to deflect that. Good high guard, excellent defences, and he's doing his job as we get the break in between the final rounds. And I suppose really as well, Andy, you don't want a head clash, you don't want cuts. I mean, that's the worst possible outcome here for Essomba.
Exactly, you just need to get through this, basically. Tread the boards, get this out of the way, as you say. Getting that win is important with a lot of organisations, which makes you wonder whether they've got something big brewing for him in the next one, and that really is the point of this. But they're both just having a move around, really, is how you would describe it. And Jackson, as you outlined, is a good fighter, and you can see that from the way that he sets up, the way that he moves. He switches between stances fairly seamlessly, and again in boxing you see it often, don't you? But if things have been different for him when he turned professional, if he'd had a bit more backing, it's difficult at the lower weights, then who knows what he might have done. But as it is, he's chose to apply his trade in the away corner and does it very effectively.
I tell you what though, Sunday afternoon boxing, not bad, is it?
Great, isn't it?
Love
yeah.
it.
I think there's absolutely a slot for it, and there's going to be a few of these top-tier shows coming your way throughout Sundays. There's one at the end of March from York Hall, famous York Hall. Looking forward to getting down there. I think Konstantin Ursu might be topping the bill. Dynamic southpaw based down on the south coast.
He's a real
with Harley Dan, he's a handful, isn't he?
Yeah, a real danger man in that division, isn't he? Ursu.
Looking forward to seeing him. Back at the end of May, and there's talk of maybe Chatham FC, maybe Robert Caswell, who's a big fan favourite down there with both the players and indeed the locals, possibly on that bill. He's on the bill tonight. Lots of people maybe trying to book a ticket for that big outdoor gig early August. That's another one to pop in your diary for a Sunday. So lots to look forward to on these top-tier DAZN shows coming your way throughout the spring and the summer. Real smiling exchange there between Jackson and Essomba. There was a rare moment where Jackson was getting on the front foot. He's been switching stances as well throughout, just flicking out a jab.
We're just showing that he could box a little bit. Just a lovely little fast jab there. It didn't land, but I mean, you know, if he's genuinely trying to hit the target, I think he can be competitive. It's a funny little thing in there, that journeyman mode, though. People just think they can't fight, and they just get natural survivors, but they're not. They have quite a lot of them were good fighters who couldn't sell tickets, and this is how they make their money.
And ultimately these days an essential function of the sport, and that is it's serving its function tonight as Essomba looks to get back on his way. One final tilt towards titles, getting paid of course, and Jackson is pretty much the bricks and mortars of boxing in that role.
And Joe Pennington, who's here with him, he had one of the absolute best. I said this last time we saw him down here. William Warburton, who hung them up a couple of years ago. He was a good fighter, and there's plenty of them who have won central area titles, the box for English titles. They kind of operate that two-tier system to an extent. Most of the time, though, they're boxing out of the away corner, and anybody who makes the mistake of thinking that they don't know what they're doing is making a grave error, because against a lot of them, if you turn up not quite on it, they'll sniff it and then decide to themselves, okay, tonight is the night where I'm going to try and win.
Yeah, and there's a guy coming up later on against Toomey Phillips, Jonathan Rodrigo, Brazilian, who could just fit into that mould. That's a discussion for next. But 4 rounds completed. Always had the look of that. Essomba couldn't quite pin down Sean Jackson, who absolutely did his job to the letter. And he'll probably be out again in the next week or so at a small hall somewhere near you.
I didn't check, but I bet you if you go on BoxRec, you got like 6 fights lined up or something, up until like the end of April or something like that. You know, that's how they do their business. They get, they get the fights in advance, and all they have to do is not get cut, not get stopped. No, that's all. It's not as difficult in its own.
Absolutely right, Barry.
I couldn't do it.
He fought nearly twice a month in 2023. 19 times he fought in 2023.
That's a good living.
Yeah.
It's a good living. Oh, there you go. Andy's just come up. He got 3 fights lined up already now, and up until the beginning of March. Unbelievable.
Beautiful.
It will be interesting to see where Essomba goes.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 4 rounds of boxing, we go to the referee scorecard. Referee Sean McAvoy scores the bout 40-36, and your winner, Thomas Essomba.
Much emotion on the face of Thomas Essomba, but it was a means to an end tonight. Return to action, get a win, show everyone you're still in the business. He does just about crack a smile, but as Barry said, it's about what next and whether his team can create and engineer one final Tilton opportunity for him.
Yeah, and he's in a division that's constantly changing. I think in the UK as well, it's a really competitive division, so there will be fights for him, opportunities for him to fight for stuff and to be competitive, maybe win some of those fights.
Okay, well, as I said, things are going to open up. British title being fought in the middle of March. He did go to Italy to win the European previously. Let's find out what he thinks. He's talking to Ali.
Thomas, valuable 4 rounds under your belt, back to winning ways. How good did it feel to be back in the ring?
Yeah, first of all, I want to say thank you for to allow me to be in this show, which I wasn't expected earlier. So I'm going to thank all my team, Sonny and then Lee, who tried to give me tried to push me for my dream. Yeah, I'm so happy to be back.
Now, you won every round in there. How did you feel?
Yeah, like I said, I wasn't expect to back soon, which I struggled a little bit with my. I don't say my performance was great, though, because I was totally off from boxing. So one, they gave me news, and then I just tried to back, just need to try to win. So I'm glad for my win tonight.
Yeah, well, win you certainly did. We'll bring in your manager, Sonny. I mean, on a rebuilding mission for Thomas, how does that play into the plan you've got for him?
It's good that he's back now. He's back in the winning column. It means there's a lot more opportunities that can open up for him. There's a few fights out there that we're looking at, and we're hoping to get something over the line in the near future. You know, getting the win and making sure he come away with no injuries, no cuts or anything was the most important thing today, because, like I said, we're hoping to have something lined up for him in the very near future.
Thomas, it was great to have you on the show and great to win. Well done.
Thank you very much.